Hello, hello. As promised, a follow-up to my shell game of prose video because I feel like I didn't, I kind of do these things unscripted, very off the cuff, like without much in the way of planning, which I think is like generally fine. Uh, but sometimes I kind of walk away from them wishing that I'd like done more or done things in a slightly different way to like get the point across better. And what I said I would do last time is kind of like do an example of this. Let's really notice. Subconscious notice. There's a few things. Like one of the things I'm going to do here that I don't usually do in like writing videos is I'm going to write an opening. Um, and I'm going to write an opening to a story that I've written a lot of before. But in the story that I wrote before, I opened it very differently. Um, I'm not going to reproduce the original opening to this. I'm going to write something very different actually. But it's just like an easy story to reach for. Um, what else? And I'm one of the reasons that I don't usually write openings in writing chips videos or like when I'm teaching is because the opening and the ending are the two most, I would say, volatile parts, especially the opening, the two most volatile parts of a project. Um, it is volatile in the sense that it is the most likely to change. It's the most likely to need to change. And a lot of the time, at the end of the day, it's going to be the easiest to change. It's very volatile. You almost never, unless you're particularly confident or lucky, you almost never end up with the same opening that you started with. When I begin projects and when I suggest to people that begin projects, um, what you got to do is you got to start in the middle. Start with the boring part. Like once, you know, let go of the excitement of newness. Start in the middle with things already happening and then work backwards later to an opening, right? And work forwards to, I mean, an ending I think is a little less volatile than an opening because an ending is more suffused with meaning. But again, an opening is very flexible. You don't want to lock in your opening. You want to lock in your middle, the long march of the middle, and then find the correct opening for all of the meat of the real work that you've done. That tends to be the way I suggest going about things. Um, and even when you write what you intend to be an opening, oftentimes it ends up being in the middle, like by just by virtue of itself. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to write an opening, just for ease, because sometimes it's like an opening is a place where you really are going to be using probably all three like levels of notice slash attention. So it's like a convenient. But one of the things I like to do is I like to set goals. Um, Set goals for scenes, set goals for chapters, set goals for sentences or sequences. Like whenever you sit down to do something, having goals, like for what it is that you need the thing to do, almost like having specs, maybe even better, is very useful. So what is the thing that I want the reader to actively notice? I want them to actively notice what is literally happening, and I want them to notice the setting. Like I want to give active details about the setting. Um, and that doesn't mean I'm going to be blunt all the time, but sometimes I'm going to be right. So what is literally happening? Let's quickly make notes of these just so I can keep track of it. Um, Explosion has gone off on a space station on an enormous an emergency. The setting, of course, is the enormous space station. One of a large number of huge biodomes suspended in space. And what I liked about the setting is separated each other by hundreds or even thousands of light years. um, connected wormholes slash portals that seem as simple as stepping through a door. So I really like the idea of like a space dome kind of thing. It's like a bunch of them, and they're actually in completely different parts of the galaxy, but they seem to be right next to each other because you can walk straight from one end to the other, like straight through like a portal, right? Like just like a portal, as though they're in the same place. But they actually have like completely different, like you can see different, like one of them's in like a nebula, and one of them's in like a binary star system. One of them's orbiting around a cool planet, like a gas giant, maybe, or like with cool rings. I like the rings. I think I want like, I think I do want cool rings, nebula, binary star system. I want like so three of them, right? Like um that's part of it. Um and one more thing about what is literally happening. Like I guess the plot, I'm separating that from what's literally happening because what's literally happening is almost like it feels separate in my head. It doesn't have to be, but like characters who were in the middle deal for their lives just met are running for their lives. Let's get a little more detail around it. All right. I forget what names I gave them initially. It's been a long time actually. I think I'll invent some names because I don't want to Jace. Middle aged former ship captain. Ship for unknown purposes. Like I know what the purpose is, but like we're almost blurbing it. What was the name of the girl? Oh, let's call her Gayla. I like that. One who is on the rougher side of things. Oops. Better. Like she's like an information broker. She's not selling the ship, but she's selling like knowledge of the ship. You know what I mean? All right. So that's what's literally happening. And all of these things are going to be like, or actually, no, these are going to be active. I think the plot is actually going to be passive. Like, I want the focus to be on the setting and the explosion and like that part of it. And then the plot with like the characters and all that, I think is actually secondary to me because I'm here for the spectacle right now. But the plot will transition, sort of transition to acting, right? As it goes on. Probably not in the snippet that I'm going to be writing, but we'll get there, right? Like, um, and lastly, what do I want subconscious? I'm trying to remember this story. It's been a long time since I've looked at it. Um, a few things to subconsciously notice. Uh, one of the domes is forbidden, like no one's allowed to go there. Um, what you're gonna try to pick up, though I'm not going to directly tell you it yet, of course, is actually trying to steal the ship for herself. Can't do it alone. Jace wants to rescue his brother. But why? Well, Gala, I remember Gala's story was interesting. I don't remember what it was. At some point, you know what I should have done if I really wanted to prepare for this? I could have gone and looked it up, but I haven't. I haven't bothered to do so. All right, I think I'm ready to dive into this. But like we have basically like these are the goals we're setting. These may be flexible, but let's just start, right? So let's pause for a second, right? What is a sentence about? This is actually sort of two sentences that I've put together, right? So the sentence is about the explosion, right? The first, like, neon mood. I don't know why I like that. It turns right into Russian. Oops. I want to capitalize harder. I know this is like kind of silly, but like capitalization is one of those things that does a lot of work, right? Start transitioning a little more into the active. Um, so you see though, I'm sorry for being quiet while I was doing this, but as you like kind of watch me put this together, right? Like pay attention to the way that like attention is moving, right? Where is attention? How am I controlling the scene? Um, that was in such like mode. So like I'm giving like a lot of active stuff. We had been. So the characters are coming more and more into the foreground as we do this, right? I got the ring. Oh, I didn't get the rings. Let me figure out where do I want to put the rings. think I'll leave it there. I'm just you see how we like man, I hope this is helpful. I just like to just this stuff. There's a lot of like things about this, like character based. But I hope, anyways, I hope that this kind of captures some of the stuff about active, passive, and subconscious notice, right? Like what am I drawing your attention to and where? Things, not all of it's even on the list. Like, I made a lot of choices while I was writing it, you know? For instance, like the artificial rain and the grime, like those are like sensory details, right? Like the pitter patter. And those are I'm keeping those largely passive, right? Or like what is a grav trick? Like I don't know, but it's a detail that kind of fits in the setting. And when they get into their interaction, that's where a lot of this starts to really pick up, right? Like this is one here. Here's an example. This is a good example of subconscious notice, right? Where it's like this paragraph is there's something like it creates this feeling. It's like kind of a pretty image, but it creates this feeling of kind of like a troubled character, right? We get the subconscious sense that like Jace is not as attached or like to self-preservation, is not as attached to life as he might be, if that makes sense. Um, and then of course I followed up with something that's a little bit more active. In an edit, I might cut this, but I think I like it because I want that little bit of activity to like this isn't a huge secret. The idea of this, the passive followed by the active, I want the reader to be asking, why does he feel this way? Why is he thinking, and why is he thinking of the idea of dying as selfish? That's sort of interesting, it sort of creates those questions. And the fact that he like can't simply allow it is the only move. There must be like here's a mission to complete. There you go. Now that's a bit more like so she's trying to get to the mines in my mind to save her brother, or like not her brother, like someone, some reason she needs to get there. And like so we've created this sort of implication. This like lives between passive and subconscious, this part right here, you know? Hopefully this is helpful. I this is like the sort of thing that's a very like active craft. And it's like so the soldiers are screaming. So there's like a martial law kind of feeling. It's a PA system. It's again sensory details. We get like a lot of feelings, right? Yeah, I think I'm happy with this video for now. I hope you all enjoyed it. Uh, I hope it helped at least a little bit. I'll see you all next time.